Buckingham Palace stood in its usual silence. The guards were still. The crowd bustled. Cameras clicked like insects. Voices overlapped. Flags fluttered. But amid the noise, one boy stood completely still. He wore a blue raincoat, had sandy hair, and a plastic dinosaur gripped in his hand like it was the only thing anchoring him to earth. He didn't speak, didn't look around, didn't move, except to lift his hand and wave. He wasn't waving at the palace. He wasn't waving at the tourists. He was waving at one specific guard. Corporal Elliot Hargrave, 34, 8 years of service, 2 deployments, and now a ceremonial statue in red wool. He noticed the boy. Of course he did. But he couldn't move, couldn't acknowledge, couldn't connect. That was the rule. And yet something about the boy made it harder to follow. The boy came back the next day. Same time, same spot, same wave. And again the day after that. And again. And again. Always silent. Always still. Always holding the dinosaur. His mother stood a few steps behind. Tired eyes, coffee in one hand, a gentle hand on her son's shoulder. She didn't record him. Didn't distract him. She let him wave. He's nonverbal, she once whispered to another mother nearby. Since the accident. He doesn't react to much, except the guard. And each time, Elliot felt it harder to stay still. Something about the wave. It wasn't attention-seeking. It wasn't playful. It was yearning. Day 6, heavy clouds. Drizzle turned to rain. The crowd scattered beneath umbrellas. But the boy stayed, soaked, still waving. Elliot's fingers twitched inside his gloves. A voice rang in his head. You do not break formation for anyone. You are the wall. But the boy was shivering, still waving, not moving, just hoping. And in that moment, Elliot felt something crack, not in his muscles, but in his heart. Corporal Elliot Hargrave had once broken rules, not as a ceremonial guard, as a soldier. In Helmand Province 5 years ago, he'd left his cover to drag a wounded corporal out of an ambush zone. They called it brave. The papers ran his photo, but his unit lost 2 men that day. One of them was his younger brother, Liam. Elliot hadn't been able to save him. Since then, Elliot had followed every rule to the letter. Stillness, order, discipline, because movement meant mistakes. After day 10, the mother approached the guard line, still respectful, but breaking her own silence. He used to talk, she said quietly, not looking at Elliot directly. He used to sing, until the crash. He was 5. His father didn't make it. She swallowed. We've tried everything, speech therapy, sensory sessions, schools. Nothing. She smiled sadly. But for some reason, every time he sees you, he waves, like he's waiting for something. Elliot remained motionless, but inside, his heart felt like it had forgotten how to be armored. It was subtle, so small that only the boy noticed. On day 12, Elliot blinked, slowly, deliberately, when the boy waved. That was it. No shift, no gesture. But the boy's wave turned into a half-smile. His mother caught it, held her breath. The boy whispered, barely audible. "Red, man," she gasped. Her coffee cup slipped from her hand. It was the first word he'd spoken in almost 2 years, and it had been for the man who wasn't allowed to answer. The moment went unnoticed by most, except by one father with a camcorder, filming the changing of the guard for his son back in Iowa. He posted it to YouTube. My kid thought the silent guard made a kid speak again. It got 800 views overnight, then 10,000, then 240,000. People slowed it down, zoomed in, commented, "Did the kid just say something?" The guard blinked. That smile, OMG, I'm crying. Red Man. That's what he called him. They gave the boy a name online. The boy who didn't speak. And the guard? The soldier of silence. The headlines came next. BBC. Queen's Guard breaks silence, inspires non-verbal child's first words. The Guardian. Royal Protocol verses. Human compassion. What one blink cost. Elliot was summoned. An office? A superior? A quiet table. Corporal Hargrave, the officer began. You know the rules. Elliot nodded. Yes, sir. But do you regret it? He hesitated, then shook his head. No, sir. I think it mattered more than the rules did. The boy came again, this time with a small red notebook. He didn't wave. He walked up to the rope, stopped, held up a single page. One word was written in thick blue crayon. Thanks. Elliot didn't move, but his chest rose sharply. And in that stillness, his own healing began. After the second word, the mother stayed behind. She approached Elliot, not during his post, but outside the gates, where she saw him exiting through the side gate in civilian coat. I didn't tell you why he stopped speaking. Elliot paused, unsure. It wasn't just the crash. She looked down. He was awake, in the car. He watched it happen. He saw his dad. Her voice cracked. He cried for hours that day. Then he stopped, as if silence was the only thing that felt safe. She looked up, eyes glassy, until he saw you, standing, calm, not saying anything, and for the first time, he saw silence as strong. Elliot couldn't find words. He just nodded. That Sunday, Elliot made a quiet decision. He requested an unscheduled hospital visit. He didn't go in uniform, just a coat, a box, a folded photo. He visited the pediatric speech therapy unit the boy attended. The staff knew the story. They whispered as he walked through the hall. He found the boy sitting on a mat, tracing shapes with chalk. Elliot knelt down, pulled out the plastic dinosaur he had brought. It wasn't the same one the boy always carried, but it was similar. And it had a red coat. The boy looked at it and whispered, "Friend." Back in his barracks, Elliot sat on his cot, staring at an unopened envelope. He had written it 3 years ago. To himself. As therapy. It read, "To the soldier who couldn't move when it mattered." He had never opened it. That night, he did. Inside was a single line. "You were scared to move again, because the last time you did, someone died." He read it again, then picked up a pen and wrote beneath it, "But this time, someone lived." 2 weeks later, something happened. A child from another country, a young girl with selective mutism, was brought by her parents to the palace. They had seen the viral clip, heard about the Red Man. She stood beside the boy. They both waved, and this time, Elliot did something he had never done in uniform. He stepped forward, just one step, just enough. He reached into his belt pocket and slowly extended his gloved hand, holding the dinosaur. Both children looked up. The girl whispered, trembling, "He's real." The moment shattered protocol, but the crowd didn't cheer. They clapped, slowly, respectfully, tearfully. Even a fellow guard's eyes twitched, almost a nod of agreement. The photo went worldwide. 2 days later, Elliot was summoned. He walked through the side gates, no uniform, no rifle, just a beating heart, and a stillness he no longer feared. He was met by a senior official from the royal household. The man didn't sit. He didn't scold. He simply said, "There are moments in history where protocol must bend to purpose." A pause. "That boy is speaking now. 2 more kids enrolled in therapy, and 1,000 parents have hope." He reached into a drawer, pulled out a silver coin. "This is not punishment. This is acknowledgement." And he handed him the coin of quiet valor, an unofficial token, passed only a few times in modern history. "You reminded the world what silence can do." The boy returned, now holding a small flag. He wasn't alone. A small group of children with various neurodivergent conditions stood beside him. The palace had created a new hour every Saturday, a silent salute time, where children could observe in peace without overwhelming crowds. That morning, Elliot stood on post. The boy waved. Elliot blinked. The boy saluted. Elliot nodded, a fraction of a centimeter. The boy ran to his mother and said, "He hears me." Years from now, a guard will take post and notice a child waving. Quietly, respectfully. He'll remember a story told by veterans before him. There was once a guard who moved. Not because he had to, but because one boy needed him to. And every time someone asks, "Why are the Saturday shifts different?" they'll say, "Because a silent boy once said the loudest thing," without saying anything at all.